our next speaker. So we have Brenda O Riordan, who is the National Flag Network Officer for BIM. And Brenda is tasked with advising SMEs through the various funding schemes that BIM have available under the Brexit Blue Economy Enterprise Development Scheme. So would you like to come on, unmute yourself and throw on your video and share the presentation? Brenda, thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me? It says actually that you've stopped the video. And hello.
Yeah. I'd say just share your screen and we'll have a look at your
Okay.
video situation in a second.
Okay, so can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Oh, 1 second. Okay, it could be my Wi-Fi here is just because it did work. Okay.
Now we have your video up and running.
Okay, so you have me now. Okay, 1 second, let me just see, can I do the screen? All right, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to go into presentation mode, would be great.
Okay. Hello, can you see that?
Yeah, work away.
Yeah, thank you, Cleena. Hi, my name is Brenda O Riordan from Bordeaux, and I'd like to talk to you today about the Brexit Blue Economy Enterprise Development Scheme. It's a scheme that offers supports to businesses and individuals, and it's open to applicants from within a 10-kilometre coastal area of the coastline. So the first headline, I suppose, that catches all the attention is the capital support, which is for equipment and infrastructure. And then there's a second type for business, which is mentoring and capacity development. And thirdly, which should not be forgotten, which is very useful for people who wouldn't necessarily be in business or can be in business. They don't have to be either to apply, is a training and upskilling. So where they can avail of supports individually for themselves, for the benefit of themselves. I'll go into the further details of it. So this scheme is dedicated to supporting blue economy sectors. And for the purpose of this scheme, blue economy sectors are described as small non-commercial harbours or pier activities. For instance, it would be private or piers and marinas. So there would be non-public owned, non-county council or DAFM piers. Boat building and repair, coastal tourism, and that's a really wide scope of inclusion. Seafood, and that can include artisanal startups, small-scale processing, or tourism-related seafood. And then marine leisure and sport, that's kind of self-explanatory. And then the last one would be renewable energy initiative supporting the blue economy. So this is the areas that it's indicated that supports are directed to, but you don't necessarily have to be directly involved in one of these. If you're a service provider to one of them, or you're a support service for one of these areas, you could possibly make an application as well. So to be an eligible project, you need to be within 10 kilometres of the coastline, excluding the metropolitan areas. There is a map that's available for people if they're unsure. So like the metropolitan areas of Dublin, Cork, Limerick, Galway would be excluded, but not necessarily just because you're in the city council areas means you're excluded. So for instance, if you're in Cork and you're in Rochestown, you're included in this scheme. But if you're in Blackrock, chances are you're not. And, you know, they're quite close, those areas. So it's always worth investigating or even contacting myself or my colleague, Paul Downs, and we can direct you to the map. Or if you just give us an air code, we can let you know whether you're eligible in an eligible area or not. This is an enterprise scheme, so the project must be an entrepreneurial initiative. You must be a small or micro enterprise, so that means you have less than 50 full-time equivalent employees. And under 10 million of a turnover. And you must in some way be connected to the blue economy, and that would include the list that was there previously. So for the individual who wants to avail of upskilling or training, the individual who completes the training must be the applicant in this case, not the employer or the course provider. The training must be accredited or the upskilling, there must be some accreditation from it. Applicants must work or reside within 10 kilometres of the coastline, and where the training facilitates entry to or upskilling within the blue economy. Now, this is very subjective. We have had a wide range of applications from people on this one, and it's up to the person who wants to complete the course to let us know how they feel it facilitates them to remain or to enter the blue economy. And we've you know, it's interesting. It's really where a person feels that it supports them. So the grant aid rate that's available is €200,000 maximum grant aid. So that means that it would be 400,000 of eligible expenditure, and the grant aid rate is 50% across all project types, except for one category. If you're involved in a small scale coastal fishing area, your maximum grant aid support rate would be 30,000, but it's at a higher percentage rate at 80%. But there are a very limited number of projects that you can make an application under for this category in particular. And I would direct people to come to us and talk to us directly if they feel that they're in this area. So for a project type 1, it's the capital investment one. So the maximum is 200,000. Again, I said 400,000 expenditure. For project type 2, which is business mentoring and capacity development. So this is another business skill, and that's 10,000 per application. And project type 3, so for the individual making the application, it's again 10,000 per application. That's 10,000 grant aid per application. So just to go back to project type 2, which is business mentoring and capacity development, that's another additional business avenue for grant aid. And it would be that you could bring somebody into your organization to train one or numerous people. If there is some part of what you do in your business that you feel is lacking or needs updating or a whole new skill set. So you can bring, the business owner can make an application to the scheme to bring somebody in. He can make multiple applications, so it doesn't have to be for one skill set. It doesn't have to be for soft skills like IT or processes. It can be for technical skills, for welding, engineering, or anything like that. Once they are bringing somebody into the organization, and it can be for training, mentoring, or capacity development. And it's 10,000 per application, but as I said, they can make multiple applications, and that's 10,000 grant aid. Right, sorry. So because the timeline on this scheme is quite tight, applications the application portal remains open until August 2023, but all projects must be completed by the end of September 2023. It's probably the biggest limitation of the scheme, but it's from a fund that returns to Europe, the Brexit Adjustment Reserve Fund, at the end of 2023, and we have no capacity to extend that deadline out. So although the scheme does allow for applications without having planning permission, MSO or foreshore license, the timelines are so tight that really funding won't be awarded to any project until all permissions are in place. And we let everybody know this when they make a query to us. If the project is not complete by September 2023, projects are likely to lose their funding. So it's an open call for projects at the moment. And as I said, the latest submission deadline is the 15th of August in 2023. All projects must be completed by September 2023. And it's an online application process. Completed applications must be submitted to the BIM Flexi Grant, which is available through the BIM website. My colleague, Paul Downs, and I are the National Flag Network Officers, and we're available. We're taking calls all the time from people on this scheme, and we are available to support somebody and advise them. The BIM website has a very good link to this scheme, and it details what kind of projects are eligible and what is not eligible. And I would advise anybody, if they have any queries, is to first of all go to the BIM website and to have a look there, and then if they still have a question, to come back to myself and Paul afterwards. This is only one of several schemes that are available through the BIM website. So there's, in addition, the Sustainable Aquaculture Growth Scheme, There's a processing capital support scheme, so that would be for seafood processing businesses. And then there's the BIM seafood training scheme. All of these schemes are currently open and accepting applications. Thank you.
Hey, Gurmila Mahad, Brenda. So you mentioned there's quite a tight turnaround just over the year mark from when the application opened up. How are the applications going at the moment? Is there a particular area of interest of SMEs applying?
Yes, there is actually, and we're doing, Paul and I are doing public information evenings around the coast. We've done several already, and we're also doing industry meetings and trade shows, which we're actually seeing quite a lot of at the moment. We did one in Wexford last week, and it was the Marine Industry of Ireland Network. So these would be ancillary service providers to the blue economy. They're not necessarily you know, in the tourism or the marine tourism or seafood processing. These would be all engineering companies, they would be training companies, and they all provide services to the blue economy, and they can also make applications. And also what we're seeing a lot of is applications coming through from businesses who are looking to reduce their costs by putting in solar panels, and that's one of the areas that we can support them in as well. So the renewable energy initiatives will be there to offer applicants opportunities to cut the costs on their electricity, and also wind turbines, provided you know, they're within the planning regulations of the area. And this would be not a domestic wind turbine, this would be for a business, a small enough one that you know, it wouldn't be very, very large. So it's yeah, we're seeing quite a lot of applications from all sorts. Like when we talk about the businesses, like, I mean, for instance, we're talking about glamping sites, camping sites, we're talking about mobile food trucks, we're talking, I mean, these are, all of these kind of projects are eligible. And like, I could sit here all day and just go through a list of what you can make an application for, but I would actually direct people to the BIM website, because there's a lot in that. There's so much that you'd end up glazing over and switching off listening to me if I kept rabbiting on about how much stuff you could make an application for.
Yeah, okay, really, really good. And you mentioned food trucks there. That's something that's popped up over the past 2 years all over Ireland, especially with COVID, with restaurants closed. What proportion of the menu needs to be seafood?
50% needs to be seafood, and they can get more than just the seafood truck. So they can get the awnings, the tables and chairs, the boundary areas. They can make an application for all of that, as long as it's an out, you know, like a seafood truck. Unfortunately, we can't support restaurants, as in static restaurants. So it's like, there are nuances to the scheme, and all of that is detailed in the guidelines. You know, like, we can't support hotels and bed and breakfast, but we can support glamping, camping, and caravan sites. You know, so like there is quite a lot there, and it's certainly worth having a look at it.
Yeah, and it's great timing now for any individuals out there looking to maybe target the tourism season this coming summer, so that they could get their application in the next couple of months and have be up and running in April, May.
Yeah, and the grant aid rate is 50%. I suppose it's like all other schemes, you know, the equipment must be new. You must buy the equipment first, and then, you know, you submit your invoices and your proofs of payment, and you know, we would come out, or somebody would come out and do a site visit just to make sure everything's in order, and then you get paid. I mean, we find some people are making 2 applications, because one piece of equipment might be something that they can just buy off the shelf, and that's, you know, and they can get the return on that straight away. But if there's a piece, if there's something that they need to do that will take longer, they're putting that into a separate application, so that the cash flow isn't tied up, because the timeline on this scheme is so short. There will only be 1 payment per application, and that's when when the project is complete. So we're advising people, and what I would say to anybody really is that if you're unsure, ring us. You know, our numbers are there, it's on the website, and we are delighted to be able to talk people through. Often we find people come in and say, "Oh, I don't think there's anything in this for me. I want to get this or X or Y, Z," and then we'd say, "Well, what is your project?" And you know, we'll go through detail by detail, and at the end of the conversation, we have kind of opened up a whole, let's say, a strand of what they can make an application for. So it's very productive having those phone calls with people.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much again.